Despite getting back into the win column, we simply cannot trust the Green Bay Packers. That and more on today's edition of Locked On NFL.
The new Locked On NFL. The madman Tyler Rowland is your double shot of NFL espresso with the Locked On local experts on every major story. Get ready, Rowland is revving up. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Football fans, welcome into the Locked On NFL podcast, bringing you a double dose of the NFL's biggest stories with help from our local experts that know your favorite teams like no one else. I am your host, the madman, Tyler Rowland, joined today by Locked On NFL expert, the brain, Luke Braun. On today's episode, we're going to go over the current division leaders in the NFC and the AFC, talk about who we trust and who we don't trust, then look at the wildcard teams that we think could surprise. Before we get into all of it, do want to thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen. Reminder that you can follow our show and hear new episodes ad-free daily on Amazon Music, so go check that out. And thank you for being an everydayer here with us at the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. So, Luke, we're going to start in the NFC. And right now, the four NFC division leaders are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South, the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North, the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC West, and the 4-2 Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East. But when we're talking about who we can trust and who we can't trust, I got to start with the Green Bay Packers. And look, I picked the Green Bay Packers to make it to the Super Bowl this year. I had high hopes for them, and I know that they're currently leading the NFC North, and it seems like a strange time to cast doubt. But at the end of the day, I simply don't trust this Packers squad, and one of the big reasons is that I don't necessarily trust Jordan Love. And even though Jordan Love was pretty solid to end the game, he did have the big mistake early on, and that's something that my guy Peter Bukowski from Locked On Packers brought up immediately after the win over the Bengals.
It wasn't quite as convincing as fans would have hoped for, but the Packers got a win against the Cincinnati Bengals and now lead the NFC North. I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers, and here are three quick takeaways from Green Bay's 27-18 win over Cincinnati coming out of their bye week. Jordan Love controlled the game. Brian Gutekunst said he'd like to see Jordan Love control the game a little bit more. That's what we saw on Sunday. The early interception was a force. It was a bad decision. Every other decision Jordan Love made from that point on was the right one. He threw.
Okay, look, he controlled the game against a terrible Cincinnati Bengals defense. But the Packers defense has been up and down the last few weeks. They weren't able to shut the Bengals down entirely in that second half. Jordan Love is always going to make a big mistake in a critical moment. He's going to have that one play a game where he doesn't do the right thing. And I needed to see the Packers play a better football game against the Bengals, not just simply win the game. So even though they're, 3-2-1 or whatever right now, 3-1-1 at the time.
3-1-1, yeah.
Yeah, 3-1-1. I simply don't trust Green Bay as much as I trust some of the other teams in the NFC right now.
Yeah, they kind of found their way in the fourth quarter, but like they started, the Packers kind of had this stretch in the middle of the game where it was like punt, 3 and out.
Exactly.
That can't happen. And it's a consistency thing. So I don't think this is that strange a time to cast doubt. I think a lot of Packers fans are casting doubt, which is who Peter's mostly responding to there. There are just too many times in the course of a game where Jordan Love just sort of back foot heaves an idiot ball. And you just kind of have to hope you get lucky and it lands harmlessly incomplete, or that good things start to happen. Good things did happen in this one. He hit Matthew Golden on one of those. But I mean, he's playing 500 out there. No, yeah, and it worked out okay. But yeah, like you said, with the Bengals, I mean, we've seen the terminally mediocre Vikings hang 48 on them. We saw the Lions steamroll them quite a bit. And like we've seen the Bengals get pounded into oblivion over and over and over since Joe Burrow went down. The Packers are supposed to be the team. And this is what Peter was saying going into that game, is that the Packers are supposed to be that ruthlessly efficient steamroll you team that plays this like no weaknesses brand of football. This just kind of constantly rolling avalanche of unstoppableness, not this like inconsistent team that has these flashes of explosion, but then they kind of quiet down for a half a quarter, and then the next quarter they do a little better, but there's an interception, and like this is a team that feels like they could walk into any game and blow it, and they almost did, and they did blow it against the Browns.
Yes,
and they blew it against the Cowboys, who they should have steamrolled as well. So I do think that there's enough cause for concern, and I think that concern does start with Jordan Love. There were some problems up front. That O-line's a little banged up. I don't really blame them too bad, but I think if the idea is Jordan Love needs to like take control of these games, he is taking control of it sometimes. He needs to take control of it all the time so that you don't show up, lay an egg like you did against Cleveland, and especially not in a crucial moment with the division on the line at the end of the year or in the postseason itself.
But that is in their DNA, I guess, is what
it's in Jordan Love's DNA, which
team.
is the Packers' DNA now. Yeah.
Yes, exactly that. And yes, they got Zach Tom back, Aaron Banks back. That should help the team have more semblance of stability. But Jordan Love's just always going to have that, the masculine urge to throw this freaking game. And I just don't, I just can't get around it.
The masculine urge to heave one with your eyes closed off your back foot.
Yes.
It's
I was
like
just hoping that they would
from
grow
Aaron
up.
Rodgers, and he's not Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, and I was waiting for that moment. I wanted to see them grow up. They've had a ton of winnable games, and they've just played with their food too much for me to trust them. Now, on the other side of it, in the NFC, I have full trust in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're the opposite of that. With all of the injuries they're experiencing on the O-line, at wide receiver, all of that, they just continue to play the best possible football they can, and a lot of that has to do with who I think is the current MVP of the NFL, and also my MVP pick before the season, Baker Mayfield. My guy James Yarko from Locked On Bucs talked about that.
This is the MVP. This is the guy that is helping keep the Bucs not just afloat, but keep them at the top of the league among the best teams while dealing with all of these injuries to vital players. Just imagine for a minute what he's going to be able to do when guys like Evans, Ibuka, Godwin, McMillan, and Bucky are all on the field together. This offense will be unstoppable.
I'm just shocked by how good the Bucs have been and how they keep winning these games against good opponents. It just blows my mind. They're just so battle-tested, they're so confident, and they're not anywhere close to the best version of themselves personnel-wise. So I have full trust in the Buccaneers. I had them as the number one seed in the NFC coming into the year. They're the current number one seed right now, and I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah, they are sort of this constant in the NFC now. I mean, they've won the NFC South 3-4 years in a row. Right. Currently Baker Mayfield third in MVP odds on FanDuel, with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen being the only two ahead of him. So yeah, that feels like it's a really legit discussion, and all those numbers are really close to each other. It honestly, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to argue for either of those two guys over Baker Mayfield because of what Baker's done in some of these games. You just sort of set your watch by the Baker magic. But the Baker magic isn't this fluky, unsustainable, you're going to get this super fugazi. No, the Baker magic is hitting a big, giant post route when you need a chunk really bad. Baker magic is scrambling for a first down on 3rd and 6 when it's there and you see it and you need it. And the tackle got beat and Baker finds a way. It's every avenue is available. And when you are a team like that, it reminds me a little bit of the 2022 Eagles, the ones that went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs, where when you can move the ball on the ground, move the ball in through the air with super efficient short passing, with big chunky long passing, with QB scrambling, when you can move the ball in all of those different ways, it gets really hard to defend you. That's how you consistently win in this league. When you're a one-trick pony, eventually you hit that team that knows how to deal with that, and you hit a brick wall. But when you have 4 different clubs in your bag, different ways to be, you can do that. So of all of these teams to trust, I know the Bucs have won a bunch of exciting close games, and we want to start to throw that F word around. But when you are winning in so many different ways, it's really hard for me to look at what kind of team it is that finally will expose you. No, I think they're just really good at football, man. The Bucs are, of all of these NFC division leaders, I certainly trust them more than the 49ers, who I don't think will stay in this category for long. I trust them more than the Packers. And I trust them more than the Eagles right now, who are in a really weird way as well.
Well, the Eagles aren't even trying to win football games. They're just trying to make A.J. Brown happy at this point, and that is quite a peculiar way to go about playing football, in my opinion. But, hey, you come off the title, the disease of more always infects the team. But with that being said, that's the NFC side. Now we need to talk about some of these AFC division leaders. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I just can't trust the Patriots quite yet.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Look, the NFL season is obviously here, and FanDuel still has an offer that you don't want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5, and you're going to get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I absolutely love using FanDuel, whether it's player props, money lines, spreads, over-unders, putting all that stuff together for a same-game parlay. Even if I miss kickoff, I can still get in on the action with a little bit of live betting. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something extra riding on it. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, that's FanDuel.com. All right, Luke, let's continue today's edition of Locked On NFL, playing a little Who Do You Trust out there. We talked about the NFC. Now we got to dive into the AFC. And the AFC division leaders right now, number 1, the Indianapolis Colts at 5-1. Number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 4-1. Number 3, the Los Angeles Chargers at 4-2. And then the New England Patriots, a bit of a surprise there, at 4-2. I got to start with this, Luke, because when we talked about the show and what we wanted to do, there was a team that we disagreed on. And you don't know what team it is yet, but I'm here to tell you, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I trust the Pittsburgh Steelers, and one of the reasons is I think they can win any game, any given Sunday, and my guy Chris Carter from Locked On Steelers talked about that.
Chris Carter here from the Locked On Steelers podcast, and if we're talking tiers and where the Steelers belong right now, it's got to be any given Sunday. The Steelers aren't locked and loaded particularly yet, though they are in a good position at 3-1 in the AFC North, with the Ravens banged up, the Bengals without Joe Burrow, and the Browns being the Browns. But the Steelers have an opportunity to get to a locked and loaded position if they can handle business these next 2 weeks. They have a game against the Browns, game against the Bengals, a short game against the Bengals where the Steelers have never won Thursday Night Football on the road against a divisional opponent. But if they handle those 2 games, they can get to locked and loaded. And if they get healthy, the key thing is for the Steelers too, they have not been healthy for a single game this season. There's always been a star, multiple stars, multiple starters who have been out. They're starting to get those guys back. Joey Porter Jr., Alex Highsmith, Jaylen Warren, all set to come back this week against the Browns. They're hoping that Calvin Austin, Jalen Ramsey can come soon behind them. But ultimately, this Steelers team has the potential to beat any team on Sunday, but they also have the potential to lose to any team. And until they get more consistent, that's where they'll be tier-wise. We'll see where they are throughout the season.
And I think they will get more consistent as they go on. Mike Tomlin is a good coach. Like, Arthur Smith is doing a good job blending Aaron Rodgers and his offense together, and they're going to get healthier. And at the end of the day, Luke, they have stars. They have star players who make big plays in big moments, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And at the end of the day, when I look around at some of these other teams, I can't count on certain players. I know what I'm getting from TJ Watt. I know what I'm getting from Jalen Ramsey. I know what I'm getting from DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers. Out of all of these four teams that we're talking about here, the Colts, the Steelers, the Chargers, and the Patriots, out of all those four, I trust the Steelers far more than I trust any of the others to win a playoff game and be viable in January.
I'm a little bit concerned with the Steelers for a couple of reasons. One, I don't know if I can apply the same thing I just talked about with the Bucs, which is I think the implication here is like that they've got all these different ways to do this.
That's fair. I don't think they're anywhere near as good as the Bucs. The AFC is way worse than the NFC this year.
For
I
sure.
think the Seahawks beating the Jaguars the way that they did is proof that a mid-range team in the NFC is better than one of the best teams in the AFC.
If you get a defense that has a good run defense and at least a plan for DK Metcalf, double him all day, a corner that can handle it, whatever you want, I kind of see this whole thing falling apart. Aaron Rodgers currently has one of the, if not the, I haven't checked it in a couple weeks. I don't know if it's still true, but at least after the Ireland game against Minnesota, lowest ADOT in the league by a lot. This is not an offense that presents an unsolvable problem. Somebody is going to find it. I don't know if that somebody's going to be the Bengals. And I think just by standings, the cushion that they have in the AFC North is quickly getting insurmountable. So to win the division is going to, I mean, they could be 500 from here on out and still probably win the division unless the Ravens really get hot. But I'm looking at the teams that they beat, right? They squeak by the Jets. They squeak by the Patriots, who you're about to talk about how you don't trust. They squeak by the Vikings, who are thoroughly mediocre, and then the Browns. I don't really see the signature win yet. I don't see the proof positive that the Steelers belong in this category of, all right, pencil them in for, a really tight one in the divisional round and probably go into the championship game. I see a team that has played reasonably efficient football, watched other teams kind of fall apart in front of them, and haven't really, the rubber for them hasn't really hit the road yet. I just need to see more, not unlike with the Patriots. I need to see more before I'm really ready to buy in. And I think if the Ravens take this kind of softish part of their schedule, get Lamar Jackson back, rattle off 3 in a row, then the AFC North is very much still in question.
See, I don't think it's in question. I don't think there's any chance that the Ravens are coming back to catch the Steelers. This isn't Russell Wilson who's going to fall off a cliff. I don't believe that, but I have been consistent in saying that I think Aaron Rodgers is a big upgrade over Russell Wilson. So I'm sticking with that. The question becomes, though, out of those four teams, Luke, the Colts, the Steelers, the Chargers, and the Patriots, who are leading the divisions right now, if not the Steelers, who do you trust?
Not a lot of them. I mean, that's kind of the challenge of the NFL right now is both conferences, the division leaders are all like, everybody's got a question mark. And it's because there's all these surprises, right? Chiefs are not in this discussion. Bills are not in this discussion. Lions are not in this discussion. Ravens are not in this discussion. All these teams we've kind of come to trust are all not leading their divisions right now, which is an interesting moment. Somebody's going to fall away and the blue blood is going to come back and get them. It just feels cosmically like that's going to be the Chargers. But of all of those teams, aren't the Chargers the ones that are doing the most proven thing? We know what Justin Herbert is, and we know that he can keep that up. We know that Jim Harbaugh can always coordinate a run game no matter who the runner is. So they I feel like the Chargers have the most stable thing going for them. It's becoming increasingly difficult to square the Colts away with our preseason expectation of the Colts. And I think if you did away with that preseason expectation and everyone was wearing gray uniforms and you didn't know who was who and there were no names on the jerseys, you would look at the Colts and say, oh, that's clearly the Super Bowl contender based on what they've done statistically, how it looks on film. What the Colts have done is really, really stable too. It's just that the Chargers have a preseason expectation. We have a prior of the Chargers doing that. Yes. We don't have the Colts prior, so we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. But with every week that comes, it becomes less likely that that other shoe drops. So I'm going with one of those two, probably the Chargers.
That's fair. But, talking about the Colts, to me, the Colts are last year's Vikings. That's who they are. They're going to have a phenomenal record. They have a great supporting cast. They have stability. The head coach is doing great with a reclamation project quarterback. But at the end of the day, I just can't shake the feeling that Daniel Jones, like Sam Darnold did at the end of last year, Daniel Jones is going to Daniel Jones at some point, and it's probably going to be in the biggest moments of the season where you need a quarterback to elevate you and make the big play, and Daniel Jones is going to fall flat. Maybe I'm wrong about that, and he won't go full Sam Darnold, but that's what I see. They're just last year's Vikings.
There's something really apt to that in that I believe that the Colts have been leading for most of the season, like an incredible amount of the season, which was true of the Vikings too.
Schedule,
which is like good for you, right? You're blowing out teams by 40. Right. That's what you should do when you play bad teams, not squeak by them like the Steelers and the Jets, right? But if you are leading the whole time, that means that Daniel Jones gets to play safe ball, right? He gets to just be the conservative. This is where Daniel Jones is at his best, when it's, everything is stick and I just need to find the safest thing and just like get a completion, right? Get a completion, but you don't have to like push. When you're behind and you have to push, that's where I really want to see him show out a little bit more. We've seen, compare that to Baker Mayfield. He's had to push a lot and it always works. That's what I want to see from Daniel Jones, but I don't think Colts fans want to see that. Like they don't want to be leading, if they walk out of the next game and they were leading from tip to tail of the game, they're not going to be like, oh, we didn't prove it again. Right. Like, all right, great, cool. Another win. They're blowing the absolute doors off of a lot of teams. But the proof positive for what they will do in the postseason, which, hey, Daniel Jones did have a really good game in his postseason debut with the Giants against the Vikings. I was in the stands. And so there is at least some precedent of that too. So I'm not going to write them off, but they do feel like if all is said and done and, the Ravens are a wild card team and they're traveling to Indianapolis, that we're all going to have our eye on that game.
Yeah, and that's fair. And look, I'm not picking the Colts as the team I don't trust out of these division leaders. I'm going with the New England Patriots. But as of this time, they are in first place, and that's something my guy Nick Cattles talked about on Locked On Pats.
I can't believe it. The New England Patriots are in first place in the AFC East on this Monday night. Buffalo Bills go to Atlanta and lose to the underdog Atlanta Falcons. Bijan Robinson ran all over the Bills' defense. Drake London made their pass defense feel miserable as he had a huge game. Falcons beat the Bills. Patriots, of course, by beating the Buffalo Bills Week 5 on Sunday night, head-to-head. Good division record as well. They are at top of the AFC East for the first time since 2021. We're going to talk about this on Wednesday's episode of Locked On Patriots. But on Tuesday's episode of Locked On Patriots, we will discuss Drake May. Yes, he is absolutely in the MVP conversation. Talk to you soon. Nick Cattles, Locked On Patriots.
Okay,
hey, Drake May has been great. No doubt about it. But I'm sorry.
Relax.
Yes, we all have.
He can be a homer, all right? They're 4-2. They're leading the division. It's fine.
They played the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Panthers. They beat the Bills. That's a signature win. I get it.
That is.
But the Bills are getting worse every day. But I don't buy that. I think the Bills are still good. But still, that's the signature win. I get it. But they have the Saints. Now they're going to beat the Titans by 50. Then they have the Browns. Then they have the Falcons. The Bucs. That's going to be a tough game in Tampa Bay. Another chance for a stamp win. But then the Jets, the Bengals, the Giants. They play the Bills again. That's a tough game. But then this version of the Jets and then the Dolphins. Like, they have by far the easiest schedule in the NFL, not just by the eye test, by the metrics. By far the easiest schedule. The Pats are one of those teams who I think they're going to be like the Commanders, where they have a favorable schedule, the quarterback plays well, they have good, solid veteran coaching, and they're going to kind of fight above their pay grade this year, and I don't know that I'd buy it.
I am getting close to being ready to buy it. I have been a big Drake May guy since I like the draft scouting, so I just like it. I like the way he plays. And so especially seeing him just deal from the pocket like that and look really comfortable in the pocket, I think is a big step forward. I get it. I definitely get it. It's very similar to the way I feel about the Steelers, right? We're like, okay, how much are you going to get tested and what are you going to do when you are tested? Mm-hmm. But the fact that they have that win over the Bills tells me, okay, they can walk into that game. They can be in it. So yeah. I think I want to see like 2 or 3 more, just like the last couple we just saw. You know, you're going to go in against a team. You're going to be favored against them. The floor doesn't drop out on you, and you get to suddenly feel like you've got a consistent rhythm and a formula that works, and then carry that into a tough game against the Bucs. The next time you play the Bills or whoever else is tough left on your schedule, carry that in, right? And if you can carry that momentum and look consistent week in and week out, we got a lot of season left. We've got what we've seen so far. We are doing that 2 more times. We're only a third of the way in. So you've got a long way to go. Stay consistent. Keep doing what you've been doing. And if you can stay at that same level, even if you don't win every single game because the Bucs are tough or whatever, I can at least look at you and say, okay, these guys can walk in and give a good team a run for their money.
Well, speaking of having a lot of season left, there's plenty of time for the folks who aren't division leaders to come back into it, make the wild card, take the division back. So we're going to talk about who we trust out of the rest of the NFL playoff picture right now. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's no better feeling than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between the queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast. It's easy. It's backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price that you see is the price that you pay. I pulled up Game Time recently, and in just a couple of taps, I saw amazing deals. And I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. I bought NBA, WNBA, MLB, NFL. I bought concert and comedy tickets on Game Time. Make sure you download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, Luke, let's cap off today's edition of Locked On NFL, going over who we trust and who we don't trust. In the current NFL playoff picture, we talked about the AFC division leaders, the NFC division leaders. Now I want to talk about everybody else. So right now, the Bills and the Seahawks are the 5 seeds. The Jaguars and the Lions are the 6 seeds. The Broncos and the Rams are the 7 seeds, which leads some pretty good teams on the outside looking in. A team like the Chiefs, a team like the Texans, the Falcons, the Bears. Out of all of those teams, Luke, who do you kind of trust to maybe get back in it or maybe be able to play spoiler when the playoffs come around?
So I've been fascinated with the Falcons, and we've seen a couple teams that do play spoiler, right? Yeah. These teams that aren't gonna be in the picture, or they're gonna be in the hunt and need wins and help and stuff in December. I think the Falcons could very much be right in the thick of the wild card, right? But they feel like a team to me that can show up any given week and be a dominant force, just be a total steamroller. That's what they did to the Bills. I saw them do it to the Vikings on primetime too. Mm-hmm. And then they can also show up. They're just a week-to-week proposition.
Yes,
but they're almost like
nothing to the Panthers.
They're like immune to competition. Like whoever they play, did they walk into that game with the right plan? They're in rhythm. Everything is nice. They're feeling good, and they can just like hang a 20-point win on somebody. Or do they fall apart even though they're playing a cruddy team? But if you get into the wild card round and there's no cruddy team to play down to, suddenly you're the greatest spoiler ever. And if you look at a team, if we're thinking about division winners we don't trust, and the Falcons are going into that team's building, suddenly you're going, maybe these guys can like notch a weird run.
I think that's emblematic of a young, talented team. Like a young player may not, or maybe more prone to look ahead. You're playing the Panthers. You're a good team. You're a young team. You're not going to get excited about that. But when you have a primetime game against a good opponent, now you are fired up for that. So I think that is just a symptom of being a young but super talented team. But I'm with you. Once they get into the playoffs, there is no reason to let down. There is no opponent to overlook. And I think they have the talent on both sides of the ball. And especially some of their better players on defense are younger players and rookie players who you would think that they're better in week 19 than they are in week 6, which means they could be even more formidable at the end of the season. But where that's a young team on the way up, Luke, and what is it? Rise up is the Falcons thing. Anyway.
Rising up, yeah.
That was apropos there by accident. It's just how good I am. I can't help it. The team I'm going with is the old reliable, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And at the end of the day, I think that with them getting healthy on the offensive side of the ball and the level of play we're seeing from Mahomes that is as good as we've seen in the last couple of years, the Chiefs are going to get things right. They're going to get going. I think they're going to be right back in it here before we know it. 4 weeks from now, we're going to be like, why did we ever doubt the Chiefs? And out of all the teams we talked about, we had trouble finding a team that we trusted in the AFC out of the division leaders. Right now, if I had to, gun to my head, make a bet, I would bet on the Kansas City Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl this year. And again, a lot of that has to do with Patrick Mahomes playing MVP-level football again, as they talked about on Locked On Chiefs.
The guy is playing at an MVP level. I mean, right now, if the Chiefs are back to 3-3, he should be in the discussion. I know in most of the places, look, he's number 2 in the betting as far as the MVP favorites. He keeps playing at this level. The Chiefs win the AFC West. If they manage to get back to 1 seed, he's definitely going to be the MVP. But he just, week in and week out right now, he is just playing some of the football he's played in at least 3 years, maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years. I mean, this dude is amazing.
I mean, what else is there to say? He's playing as good a football as he's played in years. They finally have some weapons around him. I'm sorry. I know they're out of the playoff picture right now, but there's no way that I'm counting the Chiefs out with the Broncos, the Jags, the Bills, the Patriots, the Chargers, Steelers, and Colts ahead of them. I still think that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the AFC.
It's a good thing the Chargers already have 1 win on them, and the best that the Chiefs can do is split that series. And that AFC West will be a race down to the wire right now, because as much as I think you and I are probably on the same page about the Broncos, that those sort of defense-only teams will only ever get so far, they're going to be right in the thick of it, and they're going to be right. I mean, it's going to come down to tiebreakers and standings and who's got the right matchup at the right time, right? But I think you'd be a fool to count out the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes after what we've seen the last decade. Or almost decade. Like, you'd probably be a fool to write them off in the first 4 weeks. And this always happens with the Chiefs. They always take a little bit to figure out who they are, and then they get in the postseason. As long as they know who they are in the postseason, they'll be able to make a run in that postseason. They'll be a tough out. It's a lot harder if you have to go on the road. That is something that they have not had to do. So the division standings still very much matter, and there's a big cushion for Los Angeles. And
well, Denver. I think one thing to consider, too, is they're going to be more explosive on offense this year than they've been before, with getting Rashee Rice back and having Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown's looking like an actual contributor if he can stay healthy. So I think season-specific, too, they have more ceiling to hit on offense this year than they have in previous years, which makes them a little more terrifying, even if they're coming from behind and not ahead of everybody like they've been before. But that's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On NFL. I am your host, the Madman Tyler Rowland, for my co-host, the Brain, Luke Braun. As we tell you every episode, thanks for tuning in, and stay safe out there.